Even when you're really into wellness and personal growth, sometimes the sheer amount of information on mental health just feels, well, overwhelming, doesn't it? There's always some new study or a trendy practice, plus just the constant buzz of modern life. It kind of makes you wonder, is there maybe a simpler, more foundational way to think about mental balance? Well, today we're actually going to try and cut through some of that noise. We're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating ancient source, the Ashtanga Hridayam. It's a core Ayurvedic text written by Acharya Vagbhata. And while lots of people know Ayurveda for physical stuff, this text has some incredibly precise, really useful insights about the mind, too.
That's absolutely right. And our goal today really is to pull out those timeless bits of wisdom about mental well-being from this, ancient source. We want to see how these ideas hold up, how they speak to us now, living in this super connected, often pretty stressful world. Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to a different way of looking at things, a truly holistic view of mental thriving.
Okay, let's get into it. So when we talk mental health today, usually it's about, therapy, maybe meds or specific self-care things. But the Ashtanga Hridayam sounds like it comes at it differently. What's its basic idea of mental health?
Yeah, it's quite different. What's really key is that Ayurveda doesn't draw a sharp line between mind and body. It's not just a nice idea, it's fundamental to how they see everything. True health, which they call swasthya, isn't just about one thing. It's seen as this balanced, harmonious state across 4 interconnected aspects.
4 aspects. Wow, okay. That's definitely broader than usual. We tend to focus on just the physical or maybe just the mental state. What are these 4?
Right, so they are the body, sharira, the mind, manas, the senses, indriya, and interestingly, the soul, or atma. And the text really stresses that it's only when all 4 are working together smoothly. Your body feels good, your mind's clear, your senses aren't overwhelmed or underwhelmed, and you feel connected to something deeper. Your purpose, maybe that's when you hit that state of real peace, focus, and, joy. It's not just about not being sick, it's about being vibrantly, fully well.
That makes so much sense. It explains why sometimes, focusing only on one part, like just hitting the gym or only doing talk therapy, might feel like it's missing something. You could be physically fit, but if your mind's racing or you're glued to screens all day or feel kind of adrift, you're not really experiencing that svasthya. That's quite a powerful way to frame it. So if that's the ideal, what did the Ashtanga Hridayam say actually causes mental problems or manovikara? I'm really curious how these ancient ideas stack up against how we think about mental distress today.
Good question, and it's pretty amazing how relevant they still feel. The text points to 3 main culprits, and they apply to both physical and mental illness, remember. The first one, and it's maybe the most profound, is Prajnaparadha.
Prajnaparadha, okay. The mistake of the intellect. That sounds deep. What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, it's more than just like making a bad choice. It's described as acting against your own better judgment, your own inner wisdom or intuition. It's like you know deep down what's right for you, what your body, your mind needs, that quiet voice, that gut feeling. Prajnaparadha is when you consciously ignore it.
Maybe out of habit or ego or attachment to something unhealthy. It's knowing better, but doing otherwise. The text implies that real wisdom isn't just knowing, it's acting on that knowing, aligning your actions with your inner truth. That's where mental peace starts.
Wow. So it's not just an intellectual slip-up. It's kind of like letting yourself down. It puts a lot of personal responsibility back on us for our well-being. That's significant. Okay, what's the second main cause?
The second one is called Asatmendriyartha Samyoga. Bit of a mouthful, but it basically means misuse of the senses.
Misuse of the senses, huh?
Yeah, it refers to how using our 5 senses in an unbalanced or inappropriate way can really throw the mind off kilter.
So for us today, that's got to be things like endless scrolling on phones, right? The 24/7 news cycle, constant noise. My phone definitely feels like a sensory weapon sometimes.
Exactly. That's a perfect modern example. Or it could be the other way around too, a lack of positive grounding sensory input. Like not spending enough time in nature, not listening to calming sounds, not eating mindfully. Think about someone stuck in the office all day under harsh lights, staring at a screen.
Right.
And they go home, scroll some more, maybe watch loud TV or play intense video games. Their senses never get a break, never get nourished. That constant overload or even understimulation just breeds agitation or mental fog.
That paints a very clear and unfortunately familiar picture.
Okay, and the third cause?
The third one is Parinama. This translates to something like the effect of time or stress. It basically acknowledges that just the passage of time, the changing seasons, or stress piling up over weeks, months, years, These can directly cause imbalances. It's the natural wear and tear, you could say.
Ah,
How ongoing pressure just frays our mental edges. That makes total sense. We feel the seasons change, don't we? And stress. Well, yeah, that's pretty much a constant for many people. So, these three things, the mistake of the intellect, misusing the senses, and the effect of time and stress, they mess with the mind's balance. Specifically, those mental energies you mentioned, the gunas.
precisely. These causes directly impact the mind's equilibrium by disturbing what Ayurveda calls the mental gunas. These are qualities or energies of the mind. There's Sattva, which is all about clarity, balance, peace, lightness. Then there's Rajas, that's energy, passion, movement, but it can easily become agitation, restlessness.
Okay.
And finally, Tamas, which represents stability, groundedness, but in excess, it becomes inertia, heaviness, dullness, confusion. These aren't just moods, they're like the underlying textures of our mental state.
Okay, so if those are the causes and the energies involved, what do the actual symptoms of mental imbalance look like, according to Ayurveda? What does the Ashtanga Hridayam describe? I bet they're quite specific, knowing Ayurveda.
They really are. And it's striking how well they map onto modern experiences. It depends on which guna is out of whack. So if Rajas is excessive, too much activity, too much fire, the text describes symptoms like anxiety, restlessness, maybe anger, racing thoughts. You know, that feeling of your mind just not shutting up, can't sit still, easily irritated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That sounds very, very familiar, that constant buzz, feeling wired or on edge. What about when Tamas is the issue?
When Tamas is dominant, leading to that inertia or heaviness, the symptoms look more like depression, lethargy, laziness, confusion, maybe brain fog, just a general feeling of darkness or being stuck, lack of motivation, feeling weighed down. And it doesn't stop there. The text also connects mental symptoms to the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are the bioenergies that govern our constitution.
Ah, the doshas, right. People might know those from quizzes about body types or diets. How do they play into mental symptoms specifically? Why do they show up mentally?
Well, each dosha has inherent qualities. When Vata dosha gets aggravated, Vata is naturally airy, mobile, dry, cold. It tends to manifest mentally as instability. So you might see things like panic attacks, a lot of fear and worry, difficulty sleeping, that kind of ungrounded, scattered feeling. The mind just feels kind of blown around by the wind.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then with Pitta dosha, Pitta is fiery, sharp, intense when it's out of balance. Mentally, it can just show up as irritability, anger, aggression, maybe being overly critical or perfectionistic. The mental fire is just burning too hot, leading to judgment and needing control.
Right, intense.
And finally, Kapha dosha. Kapha is earthy, heavy, stable, moist. When it's excessive or imbalanced, that stability can turn into stagnation. So mentally, you might see apathy, withdrawal, feeling emotionally heavy, maybe stubbornness or clinging, a real resistance to change.
It's incredible how specific these descriptions are from so long ago. They're not just vague feelings. They're really recognizable patterns and conditions we still talk about. And I think you mentioned the text even addresses more severe conditions.
Yes, it does. It really covers the whole spectrum. Severe imbalances are discussed under terms like unmada, which seems to relate to what we might call psychosis or severe mania. There's apesmara, often linked to seizure disorders, but also memory loss or dissociative states.
Yeah.
And Chittavega, referring to intense anxiety, emotional turmoil, maybe severe distress. It shows they had a framework for even very serious mental health challenges.
Which naturally leads us to the big question, the one everyone wants to know. What about solutions? How does Ayurveda, based on the Ashtanga Hridayam, suggest we actually heal the mind or keep it balanced? You said there are three main approaches.
That's right. It lays out three broad categories for healing, creating a really comprehensive therapeutic system. The first is called Sattva Vijaya Chikitsa.
Sattva Vijaya Chikitsa. Okay, that sounds like it's focused on the mind itself, like mental discipline.
Exactly. You could think of it as the ancient version of psychotherapy or mental training. It involves practices aimed directly at calming the mind, purifying thoughts, and redirecting focus. The text mentions things like using affirmations, practicing mindfulness or self-awareness, self-reflection, and studying inspiring or spiritual texts. It's all about consciously working with your thoughts, letting go of the negative patterns, and actively cultivating positive, clear ones. Very much like modern CBT in a way.
So things we talk about all the time now, journaling, meditation, positive thinking, these aren't new fads at all. They have roots going back thousands of years in texts like this. That really underscores how fundamental these practices are. Okay, what's the second approach?
The second is Yuktivyapatraya Chikitsa. This one covers the more tangible things: diet, specific herbs, and lifestyle adjustments. The idea here is that you need to build a stable physical and energetic foundation for your mind to be healthy. You can't really separate them.
Makes sense.
So, for instance, the text recommends certain herbs known to help the mind. Things like ashwagandha, which is really popular now for stress, right? It's an adaptogen. Brahmi is mentioned for mental clarity, shankpushpi for calmness and sleep.
Uh-huh.
And then there's diet, a big emphasis on a sattvic diet. That means foods that are fresh, light, easy to digest, things that promote clarity, and importantly, avoiding things that disrupt the mind, like stimulants, processed foods, very heavy or old food.
And lifestyle. What about just our daily habits? We hear so much about routines now.
Absolutely crucial. That falls under Dinacharya, the concept of having a regular daily routine. This includes things like having consistent sleep times, waking up early, maybe doing self-massage with oil, gentle exercise like yoga that connects body and mind. These everyday practical things create stability, both internally and externally, which supports mental balance. It's about building supportive habits.
It really covers all the bases, doesn't it? From herbs to how you structure your day. And the third approach.
The third one is called Daivavipashraya Chikitsa. This refers to healing methods that are more spiritual or faith-based. It acknowledges that for many people, connecting with something beyond the material world, belief systems, and maybe unseen energies plays a big role in healing.
Okay, so what kind of practices does that involve, especially for listeners today who might not be familiar with these older traditions?
Examples mentioned include things like chanting specific sounds or mantras, engaging in prayer or rituals, and sometimes using specific gems or herbs that are believed to have certain spiritual or subtle energetic properties. It's presented as a core part of the whole system in the text. It recognizes that faith, spiritual connection, feeling part of something larger, these can be really powerful forces for finding balance, resilience, and healing. It's about acknowledging the whole person, including that spiritual dimension, without necessarily endorsing one specific belief, but showing the text's comprehensive view.
Wow, it truly is a complete system. It touches everything from what you eat for breakfast to your deepest beliefs. So let's bring it home. For someone listening right now wanting some practical takeaways they can actually use, what are the key actionable tips from the Ashtanga Hridayam for cultivating mental wellness?
Yeah, there are several really concrete things that come directly from these principles. First, waking up early. Specifically during Brahma Muhurta, that hour or so before sunrise, it's not just about getting up early. It's about consciously using that quiet, clear time to set your mental state for the day. It directly counters Parinama, the stress of time, by aligning with nature's rhythm. It's like making your first choice of the day a sattvic one.
Okay, starting the day with clarity makes sense. What else?
Second, making time for daily silence or meditation, even just a few minutes. It creates that necessary space for the mind to settle, calms the nervous system, helps reduce that Rajas agitation, and clear out the Tamas fog.
And given what you said about the senses, I'm guessing managing our input is key.
Huge. That's the third tip. Limit negative media consumption. Be really mindful about what you're feeding your senses. It's basically putting Asatmendriyartha Samyoga, that misuse of senses principle, into practice, but in reverse, making sure your sensory diet is nourishing, not draining.
Right.
Fourth, cultivate a positive social circle. The energy of the people around us really does rub off. Surround yourself with supportive, uplifting people. And fifth, learn to transform emotions with awareness. Don't just suppress feelings, but observe them, understand where they're coming from, and consciously guide them towards more balanced states. That's Sattva Vayaya Chikitsa, the mental discipline, in daily action.
So it really boils down to being intentional about your mornings, your quiet time, what you consume informationally and socially, and how you relate to your own emotions. And all this points towards one ultimate aim, right?
Exactly. The common thread, the ultimate goal, weaving through all these practices, diet, routine, herbs, mindset, everything, is to cultivate sattva.
And remind us again, sattva represents?
Sattva is that quality of clarity, balance, peace, compassion, self-control, and pure, simple joy. It's the mind in its clearest, most harmonious state. Light, aware, balanced. By consciously choosing actions and habits that increase sattva, you're not just trying to avoid problems, you're actively building inner strength, wisdom, resilience. You're fostering spiritual growth. It's the pathway to a mind that can stay clear and centered and experience real well-being regardless of what life throws at you.
What a fascinating exploration today, going deep into the Ashtanga Hridayam. It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it, that this ancient wisdom isn't just old history. It's incredibly relevant, timeless, and offers such profound insights for our mental well-being right now. The connections to modern life are just striking.
Absolutely. And maybe the key takeaway is this. The next time you feel that mental overwhelm creeping in, remember the message from this ancient text. Real healing, Real balance.
Often starts not by frantically searching outside yourself, but by choosing to pause, to just stop, breathe, look inward, and consciously work towards that inner harmony, body, mind, senses, spirit. It's like an internal shift, an alchemy that starts with your own choice.
If this deep dive sparks something for you, maybe share it with someone you know who could use a bit of calm, or who's looking for a more whole person approach to feeling better mentally. Until next time, keep exploring your own inner world and diving deep into what helps you truly thrive.